And then he said, don't wish it was easier, wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems, wish for more skills.
I can't catch a break, guys.
Yeah.
Get them the fuck away from me. I can't be around those guys.
People think, oh, well, cleaning your room, that's just a cliche. It's like, yeah, really, eh? Just go ahead and try it.
If people had any idea how powerful sleep is for healing from anything, and the fact that it's free.
My mind is absolutely bulletproof, solid as a rock.
Podcast. Welcome all to the Fighting Fit Show. This week we are still going down the route of helping you guys build a great relationship with food. And I think this is going to be the last episode of this series. So, it's been good while it lasted. We're going to try and nip it in the bud today. Maybe we'll get it all covered. Maybe we won't. There could possibly be one more, but we're definitely nearing the end of our series. So I hope you've enjoyed the ride. Last week we kind of finished up where we were talking about health and movement and exercise and the benefits and why it's important. I think we said exercise and feel the difference. So we're just going to kind of reconnect with that a little bit. Maybe we got some new, fresh perspective, new ideas. Maybe you didn't listen to the last episode. So that's where we're going to kick it off from today. So the first point we're going to cover is reconnect with joyful movement, which I think is an amazing thing. I think I touched on this last week when I was talking about ping pong and again, it's like fun movement. It's like it's really enjoyable. I was listening to somebody today, Andrew Huberman, and he was talking about fasting and calories and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that he said is that fidgeters get massive increases in calories burned per day, from 800 to 2,000 calories just through physical activity. Me and Chris were doing a little bit of preparation for this podcast, and I noticed myself just swaying from side to side. So I definitely know I'm a fidgeter, and I know that I maybe, overconsume calories from time to time, and I'm not always punished as severely as maybe other people. Personally, just I've never really been drastically overweight, and I would probably put that down to one of the reasons why it's like I'm just constantly moving. I talk with my hands, and I just can't stop. I pumping my leg up and down, all this kind of stuff. So if you've got a hobby and it's something that you do all the time and it's not a pain to do, you're going to burn a lot more calories, even though it might not seem like severely demanding exercise. Fidgeting can knock up 800, 2,000 per day. It's like if you're playing your favorite hobby for 45 minutes to an hour, it's like, you're talking maybe 200 to 400, 500 calories, depending on your size, depending on the intensity of the session. But the cool thing is, like, if it's a hobby, if it's something you do and you're doing it 3-4 times a week, those numbers are going to rack up in the months and years for sure, and definitely going to have a big impact on your, your natural set weight. Let's say, how much extra body fat you're carrying around. So obviously joyful movement is really important. Do you enjoy moving?
Yeah, well, some examples of a hobby for most people would be playing football. Like for lads, especially during the can't play their 5-a-side game on a Saturday or on a Wednesday or a Thursday, whatever it is. And it's like, it's not about exercise. It's not about burning calories. It's about having fun and having some crack. And burning calories is literally just a side effect of that, which I think is a really, really good way to start with exercise, or to start with trying to be a little bit more healthy and a little bit more active. Okay, because if you're not active, you're not being healthy. We were made to move, and if you're not enjoying it and you're punishing yourself with it all the time, well then with exercise, because you ate so many calories, whatever, you're not going to keep that up. You're going to develop a negative mindset around it, and you're going to hate movement.
Yeah, exactly. So, this is it. And again, maybe you're overweight and maybe movement's a little bit of a chore for you anyway. So maybe stuff like running and going to the gym, doing jumping jacks and bodybuilders just is a bit of a siege right now. It's like, so again, like, let's say you found a way to move that wasn't so cumbersome. Like, again, maybe it's horse riding, I don't know, maybe it's swimming, maybe it's cycling, maybe it's ping pong, maybe it's hacky sack, whatever it is that you decide. Maybe it's walking, something that you actually enjoy doing is a big part of enjoying your health and fitness journey, because that's the point. The point is to enjoy it, because I see it time and time again, people taking on measures that are extreme and get great results, and they don't enjoy it. And the relapse is nearly guaranteed, to be fair. And I see it a lot with nutrition, with food, that I myself just kind of looking at as a coach, deem quite bland and boring. And it's kind of like, oh, how long is this going to last? Probably not long.
Yeah, so some people can handle it, but it's rare. People need some
I think we talked before really briefly, maybe the last, actually, is a little bit of a side point, so maybe shouldn't spend too much time on it. But chefs and bakers, they're chefs who need to add their own pizzazz to everything. They've got these ideas, these wonderful ideas in their head, and they make their life, their meals, their own, and it has to have flavor, it has to have pizzazz, and then you get the bakers, people who can literally just follow a recipe. That kind of je ne sais quoi is just not the most important thing about it. And so it's like they will literally just follow the recipe. Yeah, give me turkey burgers, rice, spinach, broccoli, what is it? Egg omelet for breakfast. Yeah, that's what I've been eating for the last 17 years. All right, fair enough. And some people are like that, and fair play to you.
Yeah, some people are simple and boring. I find that helps sometimes for something to build off, and then you just add a little bit of spice to it. Like something that's really nice is just a cheese omelet with some sriracha sauce over it and maybe some spring onions. So the omelet, the spring onions and the sriracha just give it a little bit more of a kick, and it's way more enjoyable that way. So I think it's also important to understand that if you have like some sort of fun hobby that you can do during the week, training becomes like a supplement to that. So like one of the reasons, like if you train jiu-jitsu, one of the things that jiu-jitsu demands is like really good flexibility in your hips. So you'll be motivated, you'll have like some sort of reason to start training your hip mobility rather than just like not having any reason to do it. And then when you have purpose or reason for doing something, you'll be far more inclined to stick to it and to want to do it and to actually want to progress and train better during those sessions.
That's a good point. The only reason I ever trained was so I could get into the ring and spar. Actually, hilariously enough that you said that, it's like it just clicked to me. I never actually liked training at all. I never wanted to train. I never wanted to do push-ups. I never wanted to do burpees. I really just wanted to get into the ring and spar. I could not even fight. Like I remember just going to train and just like I want to spar. And I remember doing shit in sparring and going, right, well, if I'm fitter the next time, and you just be running with this image of you sparring in your head and not running out of gas, you're doing push-ups and images of you punching harder, or having bigger arms and like being more effective with it. So again, yeah, it's like having that reason to train. Again, that reason being some kind of hobby, some kind of physical outlet. So that way your training is a supplement for that. That's a great point.
Yeah, it's the RAS in activation, the reticular activation system in action. So after that, we've got where are we here?
Focus on exercise. Focus on how exercise makes you feel rather than burning calories.
Yeah. So focusing on how exercise. So exercise is energizing. That's one of my favorite phrases now. Exercise is energizing. It should make you feel good. It should make you feel proud of yourself. It should make you feel like you've done something, you've accomplished something, and it should be enjoyable. But depending on how you're managing your training loads and depending on how you are training, you might find that you feel shitty after a workout. You might feel sick. You might feel burnt out. You might feel drained. And if that is the case, more often than not, you're probably not going to be enjoying it too much.
Well, here's something that I think about with exercises. Like again, me personally, like I don't say I'm going to exercise. I say I'm going training. That's kind of what I say. I'm training. Well, what are you doing? Oh, I'm training. I'm going to my training session. And so what is training? Training is practice. It's practice for a specific thing. And so when I'm training, well, what are we training today? It's like, well, we're training our squat. We're training our cardiovascular system. We're training. So my point is that I'm not here. The goal is not to break my body down. My goal is to improve efficiency or how effective I am or my strength or maybe if I'm doing hypertrophy training, maybe I am trying to break the muscle down. It's like as part of that session, that's the goal. If I'm really trying to improve my lactic tolerance, it's like maybe I am absolutely slamming my muscles super hard. So it's like I can get into that state where my body's really trying to, oh Jesus, let's fucking go, let's get the lactic tolerance in, let's get the new blood in, let's get the old blood out. It's like it's like at that level, that's very specific. But for the most part, it's like a lot of your training should literally be, all right, what are we doing? You're just practicing your squat, you're practicing your deadlift, you're practicing your running mechanics, you're seeing how long you can go, you're seeing how fast you can go. It's like, and then again, take big breaks. It's like, or what is your goal? Is your goal to break yourself down? No. What's your goal? To improve my efficiency with this specific thing for maybe even, as we said earlier on, this higher calling or
what's cool about that is just like with your exercise for your hobby, So like opening up your hips, like all that sort of stuff, it gives you purpose. It gives you a reason for doing your different things. And if it's like practice, the goal is to get better. And when you have that in mind before you start a set, it changes how you do a set. Like you're not just getting through a workout, you're trying to get the most from it rather than just doing it for the sake of doing it. And I think that is fundamentally the difference between exercising and training.
Yeah. So get out there, guys, and get training.
So, and yeah, but also like it's not just about burning calories. So I think focusing on how exercise makes you feel rather than burning calories, like a lot of people, especially some clients when they start off here in the gym, and some people who were in our old facility where we'd have the TV on the screen and everyone had heart rate monitors, and it was about where your heart rate was at different times in the session and how many calories you burned would have been a factor to it. But it was something that we used to always try and like pull away from. Like it doesn't really matter how many calories you burn. It's more
remember the big focus for us back in the day was that we were focused on HIIT training. So a big part of the sessions, big part of the goal was, well, you not to compare yourself to whoever's beside you, but for you, it's like that was a high intensity session. So obviously, not to say that high intensity is going to directly impact calories or whatever that, although most likely will. And the heart rate monitors don't necessarily pick up exactly your calories, but the calorie metric on the TV was a great way for measuring the intensity of the session.
Yes, that's exactly what. But what we were trying to get away from was like the amount of calories you burned at the end of your session was almost irrelevant. And you'd see something that the ladies would always say, they'd be like, to some lad who's like 6'2" and 110 kilos or whatever it was, and he was working as hard as he could, but because he was out of shape and all that sort of stuff, he wasn't really doing loads. But by the end of it, he burned like twice as many calories as like some 54-kilo lady who was busting herself throughout the whole session. He'd burn upwards of 700 calories, and she was burning 300 max.
And realistically, he would have burnt more calories than her if he had to lay at home in his bed.
Yeah, because it costs more. Maybe not if he lay at home in bed,
but. No, like literally, probably, yeah. It's like, listen, if you're 110 versus a 52 kilo, 110 man versus a 52 kilo woman, it's like, yeah, probably. But the thing about it is, like, it's all relative because his appetite is relative. It's like you're eating 1,700 calories a day and he's eating 3,000.
Yeah. So, but the goal of the training session isn't to necessarily just burn calories. Like that's like a secondary bonus of the workout. The goal of the workout is to get an adaptation from that workout, whether it's to bench press more, whether it's to squat better, whether it's to have more mobile hips, whether it's to be fitter in terms of your lactic tolerance or your aerobic capacity. Your training should have a purpose, and the main goal or the main benefit of that is basically the adaptation that you will get. And if you feel like crap all the time, or you're trying to just burn calories, you will more than likely feel like crap all the time, and you won't be as satisfied from a workout. So like if you have the goal of just burning calories, if you did a heavy strength session, which aren't very, very calorie demanding, you could hit a PB in your squat, but because you only burn 200 calories or 300 calories, and you usually burn 4 or 5, you're going to be like annoyed. And the only thing that the way the monitors work to detect whether or not you're burning calories is they take your age and weight and have a certain amount of calories you burn per minute or whatever. And then depending on what heart rate zone you're in, if you're at like 70 or 60% of your heart rate max, 70% of your heart rate max, 80%, 90%, will add like a 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4 multiplier to it to see how many calories you burn that way. It's not accurate in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, exactly. That's like saying then because you are cardiovascular fit and you're operating 70 beats per minute, and there's somebody who's not cardiovascular fit at all, it's like they're burning 120 beats per minute, and you've got more muscle mass, but these are the same weight. It's like it's not really going to be a fair comparison. Yeah. But again, it's a good estimation of intensity. Is what I said.
Yeah, exactly. So after that, we have developed a balanced and enjoyable approach to physical activity. So if you haven't got the hint yet, you should be enjoying your workouts. You should be enjoying exercise. It should be something that adds to your life and not something that takes away from it. When you first start, it can be difficult.
Also, a big part of it as well is like, yeah, it's supposed to also be difficult as well and hard to do. And a big part of that is like that you have overcome it. You'll be proud of yourself. You'll be happy that, it's like, oh, fuck, that was really, really difficult. But again, not too difficult that it's absolutely soul destroying. At least not initially, and definitely not all the time.
Yeah, and one of the reasons when people first sign up with us, we have the yellow, and the yellow workouts, from my perspective and from your perspective, are laughably easy. like they're so easy. But someone who isn't fit or someone who isn't trained, they can be really, really challenging, but they're not debilitating. They're not debilitatingly challenging. And they teach new movement skills and they have different focuses rather than like absolutely busting yourself. One of the main focuses is like learning a new skill or practicing your single unders, or even just like the reps are way higher on the beginner levels of our workouts. And the reason they're higher is so they get more reps in and more practice with lighter weights. And then as they develop and they get better, well, then the weights become more demanding, they become more intimidating. You start developing that, oh, fuck, am I going to do this today? Am I able? Am I actually able to do it?
With lighter weights, so it's like one of the first things you want to do with somebody when you're training muscles is you want to build endurance.
Yeah, exactly. So they can actually sustain that effort. So I think if you find the right intensity for you, and the right intensity is challenging but not debilitating, if you find that intensity, well then you'll enjoy your workouts a lot more. You'll have the satisfaction factor of your sessions. So after that one, we have principle 10, honor your health. So with this one here, I think it's really important to understand what health is. What do you think health is?
To me, I suppose health is, I suppose you could probably pull up an actual definition there while I'm rambling away here. We'll see how close to the mark that I actually am. But I would say health is
vague.
The absence...
Wait there, just it's vague as anything.
Yeah, I'm sure.
The actual definition.
That's why I don't mind giving my own interpretation of health. So I would say, it's the absence of sickness. It's having a high level of vitality and energy, and a feeling of good well-being.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to say, so from the World Health Organization, it is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. A variety of definitions have been used for different purposes over time. So the overall condition of an organism at a given time, the soundness, especially of the body or mind, freedom from disease or abnormality, and then a condition of optimal well-being.
That's good, because that kind of covers into that.
Oh wait, we got a few more. It expanded. Sorry, there's a few more.
Oh, sorry.
Go on, what were we going to say?
I was going to say again, because it's this whole thing of the orthorexia thing, which is for some people like an ironic condition, because the orthorexia that they want to have leads them down a negative road. Orthorexia, again, like the idea that we have to eat only good food, and again, that's not healthy, because which is ironic again, because your goal is health. Your goal is to be healthy, and you're doing it in such a way that it's leaving you not stressed, in a happy place, which by what we just heard there is not a great definition for health. And so again, what we want to do is we want to find that midpoint that we're eating healthy food and we're enjoying our life to the point that we are happy in ourselves, so that we can do it long term. And again, because again, like we all know, the crack with the placebo is your body, its state and how it thinks has profound effects on your chemicals, your hormones, and your well-being. So you really have to have positive feelings about what you're eating and why you're eating
it. I wouldn't necessarily say that you have to, but it's definitely better if you do. It's definitely better. I wouldn't say you have to, but it's better if you do.
Because again, we're just right back down to the fucking.
Well, again, there's a difference with the placebo. Sorry to cut across there, but the thing with the placebo is how you interpret it. And if you interpret it as just like you have a general idea that it's good for you and that you're eating well. It's stressing you out. Is not as that's not as powerful as, let's say, thinking that if you eat something thinking that it is going to be really bad for you. You get me? Like the indifference with it is different to suggestion.
Mm-hmm. But I'm saying to the point where it's if your only goal is I'm literally only allowed to eat healthy food, I can imagine quite personally, it's unless you are a very squared away, matured person, eventually you're going to end up going, you know what, this is just absolutely miserable. I don't want to do this anymore. And then you come away from it because it's not sustainable, it's not enjoyable. It's so again, was it really a good approach to begin with?
Yeah, but that doesn't
make sense.
Anything to do with but it doesn't have anything to do with the placebo.
But I'm saying that if you're in a space where you're not enjoying your nutrition and you're going around in this negative mindset. Like, again, obviously, like at the milder forms of it, it's like, oh yeah, look, no carbs this week. Yeah, listen, try to settle in, you'll be fine. You know, or like, all right, no junk food this week, no alcohol this week. Yeah, that is reasonable. But it's like, if you're literally like, okay, it's only the health foods, it's only the stuff that I know is good for me, and every time that I have a little whim or a want, I shove it down. It's like, well, good luck with that. And I imagine, again, just that mindset is toxic, and so I imagine it would have a, you know, it's like well, again, stress. Like, we talk about stress and emotional stress. How bad is that for your body?
Yeah, well, I think you know, like having a purpose for declining stuff and a reason for it, and if that reason is actually a good one. So if you say no to the chocolate bar because you made this commitment to yourself to hit this certain weight, well, then it'll be different to I just can't have chocolate. Yeah, because that's bad.
Pete, I just noticed that you have my name down for this as Princess B. Appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Okay, so the other definitions or the other parts of the definition are soundness of body, that condition of a living organism and its various parts and functions which conduces to efficient and prolonged life, a normal bodily condition. In an extended use, the general condition of the body. It's just like natural vigor and facilities, moral and intellectual soundness, power of healing, given health capacities for restoring, strengthening, enlightening, purifying, chiefly in scripture. I think that's spiritual health. A salutation or here. Let's say I think these are just all the different kinds of definitions for it in the English dictionary. So anyway. Oh, need to charge it. All right. Well, anyway, overall, your health. It's important to understand what health is, and health is basically, you know, if you're generally the absence of illness and a sense of well-being. Okay, so and a sense of vitality. If you have lots of energy, you don't have any ailments or anything like that there, and you feel like, you know, things are going good in your life, you're healthy. That's good. Okay. So you want to honor that. And what we mean by honor that is, you don't want to sacrifice your sense of well-being for some sort of goal. So unless like you're getting paid for it and you're professional and all that sort of stuff, the only reason to do that is if you are turning pro in something, or if you're making money, or it's actually like going to affect your actual overall lifestyle. So what am I trying to say here?
We're moving on to understanding the importance of gentle nutrition.
Well, I was just on about honoring your health first. So the whole point of honoring your health, or what is honoring your health, is respecting the fact that you should have a sense of well-being, that you should have a sense of vitality, and that you shouldn't have any ailments. And if your exercise is maybe, you know, you're overtraining to the point where you're getting injured all the time, so you're not honoring your health. If you are restricting your eating to the point where your well-being starts to suffer and you stop being social, your well-being, your health is suffering in that regard as well. So honoring your health is making sure that you're not letting that sort of go too far. So now we can move on to what were we saying? Let me see. I don't have it up on the screen here. What was the next point?
What is it? Understand the importance of gentle nutrition. So again, this is the whole thing of, like, you know, what would harsh nutrition be?
Okay, what is harsh nutrition? Harsh nutrition is, in my head, is essentially just orthorexia. So where everything's just too strict, can't have this, can't have that. Everything has to be exactly perfect, and if I don't have this, well then, you know, my whole day is ruined, my whole diet is ruined.
Yeah, but
and
also
you put that pressure on yourself. Go on.
Also like self-loathing, like, so eating and wallowing. You know, it's like, well, that's not gentle nutrition. It's like, because you're like horrible in this thing. It's like, I'm just a fucking piece of shit. Fuck this. I have no control. It's like, and so what we're really trying to do is we're trying to cultivate a sense of, you know, goodwill within yourself, and that can work on both sides. It's like, right, okay, we're trying to move away from
that's a really good point. That's actually a really, really good point. Trying to cultivate a general sense of goodwill. That's a really, really good point.
So again, this is it. So it's like, right, okay, how do we do that? Well, what we're trying to do is we're trying to, like, what are your top 5 favorite healthy fruits and vegetables? Right? Maybe it's strawberries, bananas, oranges. Like, they're really nice. You know, it's like, well, what vegetables do you like? Or maybe you like carrots. Maybe you like, you know, leafy greens. maybe like onions. What's your thing? It's like, and then we just want to start including a lot more of that wherever we think that we can. What are your favorite proteins? What's your top 5 favorite proteins? Let's take from there. What are your top 5 favorite carbs? What are the whole grain or whole food version of that? Like maybe it's more, wholemeal flour. Can you tolerate it? If not, fine. Stick with your regular flour. Don't stress about it. Or breads. Again, potatoes. Maybe it's rice. You like whole grain rice. Maybe not. Okay, cool. Just stick with rice. And so again, like we're just trying to walk our way towards, an ideal nutrition plan, an ideal nutrition strategy. What are the worst foods you eat? What are foods that when you eat, you just feel like absolute shit about? And so again, right, let's try and eat much less of them. What are your horrible eating habits at the minute by your own definition? It's like maybe it's like after 9 p.m. I just sit down and I crack over every snack in the house and I sit and I gorge, which is fine unless you have a feeling of shame after the fact. In which case, like right, we need to start walking away from that. And if you're already let's just focus on that. You're moving towards where what I would call gentle nutrition. All right, cool. We're starting to include the stuff that we want. We're trying to push out the stuff that we don't. And then again, we can talk kind of about strategies, maybe a little bit down the road as to how we can actually do that.
So what strategies would you implement if let's say you're eating lots of bickies after 9 o'clock with a cup of tea, watching your Netflix, and after you do it, you look at the empty packet and you feel a sense of shame and guilt. That happens to you 3 times out of the week. It's making you go over your calories by 1,000. What do you do to overcome that?
Do I really need to lose weight? Is my first question. It's like, because again, maybe the few extra calories aren't a problem. Maybe over the general sense of a week, it's like I'm already hitting my vitamins, I'm already hitting my minerals, I'm training, I'm walking. It's like maybe I am leaning towards the perfection side of things, and the shame is not necessary. So again, that's why it's like, listen, based on your goals, based on your life as a whole, is it that bad? Like,
I would say it's important to understand why you feel shame. And I think one of the main reasons for people feeling shame around something is it's a corrective measure. It's a corrective feeling.
But there is some people that don't understand that if you eat, and your let's say your goal is to lose weight, if you eat two Kit Kats, 2 Kit Kat, duo bars, that's it. It's like that's like what 200 calories max. It's like that's a drop in the ocean. You're fine. But you don't know that, and so you freak out about it, and you feel shame, and that shame is not necessary. You would have been fine. But that shame cycle starts a bigger thing, and then, no, it's this, oh, no, I switched off all my good habits, and now all of a sudden, you're up 3 pounds, and you think, oh, it was the Kit Kats. Like, it wasn't the Kit Kats, kid, to be honest. And that's unfortunate. And so, again, it's like, that's what I mean. It's like, in some senses, the shame isn't necessary. Now, if you're 3 stone overweight, and you have a habit of eating, after all your main meals, which, to be fair, may be bigger than they need to be anyway. Now you're sitting down to your snack session, which is another 500-600 calories, and you know it, and you shouldn't be doing it, and you've got no control. It's like, okay, that's maybe a good spot to start focusing on. It's like, right. So let's say we're in that situation. What tactics would we use? Right. So first thing we do is basic portion control. Let's try and bank you as many calories for that evening treat as you possibly can. So let's say your breakfast, lunch, dinner average are 600 calories a piece. Let's try and shrink them down to 400. So now instead of 1,800 calories, we're sitting at 4 by 3. No, what did I say? 6 by 3 is 1,800. So 4 by 3 is 1,200. Yeah, so now you got 400 calories in the bank. Now what we want to do is we want to have a look at your evening snack set, and let's say that's 600 calories in your snack set. We want to have a look at those foods and we want to figure out, right, okay, what could I replace for maximum calories, a maximum calorie reduction and minimal taste reduction. So that's where it's like, let's say you love ice cream. Cool. Are you aware that the vast majority of ice pops, not ice cream, is like only 100 calories? It's like ice. So there's an immediate swap. We got maximum, mouth pleasure, and like we've already dropped 300 calories. Maybe you like ice cream. Maybe you're not switching for ice cream. Have you tried any of the high protein, make it yourself at home ice creams? Have you tried the Halo Top ice cream? So again, it's like we're just making a better decision. It's like, again, then we start having a look.
let's say it's biscuits. Let's say it's the packet of biscuits, hobnobs, you're double dunking. What do? You're double dunking every night with your cup of tea. It's your ritual. It gives you peace. It gives you solace. It's your cool down in the evening after a stressful day at work. After your dinner, just like a couple hours after dinner, you're like sitting down to watch your Netflix and you're going, I just made me a wee cup of tea, and I'm getting my wee biscuits and I'm dunking them.
Cool.
And you're looking for that.
So obviously, I would like, don't get me started because this is me. Listen, I'm a dunker. I'm not only a dunker, I'm a chocolate dunker. And to sit here and tell me that I'm going to switch it out now for a lower calorie dunk, it's like, what? No chocolate on my dunk? You must be joking me. So it's like that is something I would like. Me personally is like that's a trigger food for me. It's something that I just don't do anymore. So it's something that I would try and replace. I would literally I wouldn't go near the dunking session because again, it's like, listen, if you've ever had biscuits and tea, one of the issues with it is that the water dissolves it and turns it into a very mushy, not filling food. And so it's very easy to just go to town on them and they're melting in your mouth. You're nearly drinking the biscuits at that stage. And it's very, very hard to stay low calorie with a food that's not very filling. And again, you're literally drinking calories at that stage. So, obviously, again, give it a go. Go for a lower calorie biscuit. See how that goes. Maybe save yourself if you somewhat control. It's like, right, okay, like as I said, we've now got 400 calories extra, 600 calories extra from.
Okay, yeah. Well, here's what I would do first. Okay, here's what I would do 100% first because I think I'm not looking for just eliminate it. Or like that, I'm looking for just a better solution to help minimize damage and to just improve.
That's what I'm doing now. Yes, that's what we're doing now. Again, I said if we shrink your main meals from, as I said, 600 to 400, it's like now we've already got an extra 600 calories to work with. So now, without changing any weight, is like if that was your calorie deficit, let's say, but you were going over it with your snack sessions, by just reducing your other meals, you've got 600 calories. You can have 600 calories of biscuits now.
Yeah, but I would say that's not a very good nutritional strategy long term to eat smaller meals throughout the day just so you can have your 600 calories of biscuits in the evening. Because your 600 calories of biscuits, if you are having hobnobs, I think it's 90 calories per biscuit. That gives you 6 biscuits. And if you're double dunker, where you have 2 biscuits, that's 3 dunks. It's
right. Well, then listen.
It's not a lot with that. What I'm trying to say.
Move to one dunk, then. You can't be a double dunker trying to fucking get your health right.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I think it's important to understand. What I was going down is to understand the actual is it really bad? Is your behavior really, really bad? Are you being gluttonous? Are you being greedy? Are you being are you overindulging? Are you gorging right now? And with biscuits, it's very, very easy to do. And all I was trying to say is that the best thing to do, I would say, would be to have bigger meals for your dinner and for your lunch, so you're actually more satisfied for them. So your cravings for other satisfaction will go down a little bit, and then to actually make a conscious effort to try this first. Obviously, sometimes it doesn't work for some people because some people are a little bit more. I'm not going to say broken, but I'm going to say broken just for context. I don't mean broken though. But
let's say. Mildly traumatized to the point where unconscious behavior is the norm.
Okay. Yeah. So let's say they can't go I'm going to have 6 biscuits. They can't say they have 6 biscuits. The packet is there. As soon as they have their 6, they go right back to the press to grab the packet out and they whip out another 6. Okay. So first strategy I would say is decide, okay, I have 300 calories for this, or however many calories I'm going to have that amount of biscuits. That's going to be my treat for the night, and that helps me stay within everything, and I'm satisfied for my meals. Good. Problem solved. You can have your cake and eat it too. Brilliant. Most people are not like that. I would say if you can do that, you're class. Go with it. Run with it. It's a really, really good way to do it. But if you can't do that, I would say more satisfaction from your other meals, and then eliminate the biscuits completely. Have them out of the house. Don't have them, and deal with the pain of just not having your biscuits, and just enjoy your tea.
Or again, cool. It's very, very hard to replace a full habit like that. So again, now what we're doing is we're sitting. You left in the house feeling the pain and the pang for your snacks. It's listen, well, what about popcorn? It's what other low calorie snack would give you a lot of pleasure, and again, you still kind of get your evening snack. And so again, you're not literally sitting there biting your fingernails, really stressed out because you don't have your little cope. And so again, what could you replace it with? So again, for me, my big one is when I'm trying to lose weight, it's ice pops and popcorn. It's like ice pops, popcorn, protein shakes. They're my very high flavor and very low cal, or progress towards your goal kind of snack. And so it's like, right, listen, we can move forward. We can also fill the time without trying to redesign my entire life, and without trying to say, oh, well, listen, I literally, the only way for me to lose weight or to cut the thing is become a brand new person post 7 p.m. It's like, right, well, good luck with that.
Yeah, it's probably not going to work.
Exactly. So it says, right, you're going to snack in the evening, let's change the quality of your snacks. But again, your advice of eating highly nutritious and highly filling food prior to the is actually probably a better suggestion than cutting them down. But again, what I said cut calories, and say cut volume. We could actually increase the amount of food you're eating during the day and cut the calories. And then you could still have your biscuits too. But again, depends who you are.
Yeah, it really does. There's a lot of different ways to skin the cat. But we were on understand the importance of gentle nutrition. Yeah, so the importance of gentle nutrition is to not have extremes and to make easy changes that you are willing to make. Like, what do you want to do and what are you actually willing to do? So like, I want to cut out all carbohydrates from my diet, blah, blah, blah. Well, instead of just being drastic and cutting all of it out, maybe take a portion out for your breakfast, or have a high fat, high protein breakfast instead of having beans and toast or whatever it is. Like, just one swap like that, boom, 33% of the way there. Do that for a week. You have that habit ingrained. I actually like my new breakfast, blah, blah, blah. And then, where it's your omelet with your bit of cheese and your bit of sriracha and spring onion. Where you have that sorted, and then the next thing, I like that, don't have to deal with that anymore. What's the next small change I want to make? So is it dinner, is it lunch, whatever? But if the changes are small and enjoyable, well, then they're sustainable. So that's why gentle nutrition is important. And then the next one is listen to your body's needs and preferences. So how do you listen to your body's needs and preferences? I think it's hard for most people to understand, like, to intuit what their body needs and what their body likes. And I think
I think step one is doing what you're already doing. If you're listening to this podcast, well, what you're doing is you're listening to people who are going to help you develop a real standard for what is actually happening in your body. So like for me personally, like the first step is like, right, you need to get educated as to what the difference between a need and a want, and what is actually going on here with this whole biomechanical machine that you're driving. It's like, well, there's hormones in your machine, so it's like you're going to get signals. Your body's going to talk to you in certain ways. Do you understand that? Do you know what's happening? Like, are you clued in?
Yeah, most people are not, because they're distracted and they have other responsibilities that take them out of their body and into their head, and they have to think and plan and do other stuff like that, rather than just being present and aware of what they need and what they want.
Also, people think that if I'm the type of person who's absolutely ravenous by 9 o'clock, I've got a limiting belief of this is who I am, this is how I function, this is what my body needs. It's like, well, that's not a need. That's actually a delusion or an illusion. And so, and rightly so, fair enough. It seems really real, but you don't know. And so again, like, we need to know. It's like, you are very adaptable, in lots of ways, and you're very fixed in a lot of ways. And so again, do you know what's adaptable and what's fixed? And do you know why it's happening, when it's happening? Or are you a victim to just whatever's going on in your body, and you just kind of have to sit there and be pulled along like a boat down a river? Like a plastic flag drifting through the wind.
Well, like, most people are basically like, not most people. It's very common for people to be a slave to their impulses and their desires and their whims, and they don't understand where those impulses and whims and desires come from. They don't even know what triggers them. They don't know, like, when I say trigger, I mean like the cue in the cue routine, reward, and a habit. That's all I mean by trigger. So like, if let's say, the feeling of biscuits in the evening is when the lights get down low. Do you get me? When the lights are low and the TV's on and you're sitting down, you're like, oh, that's what you associate with the biscuits in the evening. And you have the impulse and you don't know what, like, you're not aware that when you go to sit down with that, like, your body habitually has queued up that feeling, that sensation, the expectation for the mushy biscuit in the tea, or whatever you want to call it. Like the trigger is sitting down in the evenings, the lights going down low. That's a trigger. And then you associate relaxing with that thing, and you need to relax. So you basically have a thing. If you don't have that thing to help you relax, well then, no, I can't relax. What am I supposed to do? And then, when you're aware that that's the impulse that is causing you to do it, well then you can substitute different things for it. But without the awareness, without the understanding that that is your trigger for it, well then, you're not really going to make much of a change. You're just going to
so listening to your body's needs, right? Mainly, like to me personally, it's like it's talking about like what Chris said. It's like your habits, right? And so maybe you're a lucky duck, right? Maybe you've worked hard, maybe you've got good habits, all right? And so again, maybe you can go unconscious from time to time. But an awful lot of us, what we need to do, especially again from time to time, season to season, we need to become conscious, we need to become aware, and we need to listen. All right. So again, like let's sit here and let's wiggle our toes. Let's sit here and bend and straighten our knees. Let's become aware of our posture, our shoulders, our spine. What are we doing? It's like, so all of a sudden things that were unconscious to you are now conscious, just by literally mentioning, just by pulling you out of whatever kind of state you were in, or pulling you into a different state where hopefully you've got, more awareness. And then if we want to be goal oriented, so what's the goal? What are we trying to do? Right. So let's be aware of our food. I'm hungry. All right. Are you hungry? Okay. Yeah, I'm hungry. On a scale of 1 to 10, how hungry are you? I'm a 9. Are you sure? Now that you've asked me, maybe it's about a 7. Are you sure it's a 7? Maybe actually, now that I think about it, maybe I'm not hungry at all. Maybe it's a 4. And so again, it's like, listen, just these intrusive thoughts and these, like, this momentum. It's like maybe the momentum of the action was like your readiness to engage was a 9 or a 10. But really, in fact, it's like you sit down, you quiet, and I said, right, your family's going to die if you give in to this. How bad do you need to give in to this? Oh, that's a 1. So all right, so you're fine. So it's literally just it's a perception thing. It seemed like a lot because this is what you always do. This is what your perception is. It's how aware you are. This is how committed you are. Whatever it is, it's like we can interpret our body signals differently as we become as we come into a different state of awareness and perception. And so again, you don't need to be carried through life unconsciously, and you'll find that just by being conscious, being more aware. And again, I'm not saying that it's easy. It's definitely not easy, especially day to day, especially when your battery's drained from time to time. But that's why a big part of changing your diet and changing your life is taking the whole thing into consideration. Going, right, okay, listen, before you start this, before you start trying to be mindful, maybe you need to do some stress management. So maybe we need to start removing some massive stressors that are really draining your battery. Maybe we need to change your environment so that way you can be a little bit more mindful, be a little bit more present, tune into your body. Maybe there's certain foods that you need to get into the house. Maybe there's certain foods you need to get out of the house. Maybe there's a certain size plate you need to buy. Maybe there's a certain size fork you need to buy. Whatever it is, it's like you need to do these things so that way you can get into the point where you're like, okay, I've got some space, I can think. It's like maybe some other habits precede it, like meditation. Maybe before we start today, we're going to meditate. Maybe when we come home from work, we're going to meditate, and that's going to bring us into a different state. Maybe we're going to listen to a certain book, a certain podcast, whatever it is.
We're going to go for a walk. But yeah, so becoming more mindful, lots of ways to become more mindful so you can listen to your body and engage with those sensations more. I think the biggest, in one phrase, just to summarize that point, like learning the difference between cravings and needs, or cravings, like an actual craving and actual hunger. And when you understand that you just crave something, it instantly just diminishes the value of it. And if it's just a craving, well then it's just a craving. It's not a need, or it's not a true real want. It's just you had a cue in your environment that set up that craving to trigger, and then you want it a little bit. So
last thing just on that is like preferences as well. So it's like, again, listening to your needs and your preferences. So again, once we learn and understand what our true needs are, and we generally want to give ourselves, if you need something, you better get it. That's all I'm telling you. If you need it, you better get it. All right. But if you don't need it, don't bother your arse. All right. So again, you need to go to the bathroom, let's go to the bathroom. Don't be asking permission. If you're at school, you need to go to the bathroom. Teacher says no, go. All right. You need to go. And they should know by looking at your face, it's a need, not a want. All right. Your preference is another thing. It's okay to have preferences that oppose, you know, what is absolutely ideal in your mind, or again, what is ideal. It's like if the new superfood is bean sprouts and the thoughts of them literally make you sick, it's like, you know, maybe it's okay to just eat something similar, eat something like it, eat something that you prefer that you can actually maintain and sustain. And then it's also okay to eat some junk foods. Like if your preference, you know, for your cheat meal is, you know, chocolate biscuits, and it's your preference every once in a while to, you know, have a little cheat meal and have a little treat, that's fine too. Chris, I got 3 minutes and I got to take this class. Do you have anything that you want to add to that?
Yes, if your preferences are really important, but also like have better cheat meals. Like if your cheat meal is 6 biscuits for 600 calories, you know, like you can do so much better than that. You can do so much better than that, and have a lot more volume for it as well. So I'd say just keep that in mind. Yeah, I like examine so examine your bad foods and just see like how could I be doing this better? You know, like be a better binger, and I think that will help you a lot.
I think it's a great point you made though as well though. Like if a chocolate biscuit is 100 calories, like listen, yeah, we can be like if you got 600 calories to spend, you know, spend it elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. So, and if you do spend it elsewhere, you know, you might not want the biscuits as much.
But every once in a while, we dunk sesh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a treat. Joe, biscuits used to they used to bust open the tin of biscuits as a treat for guests. It was an event. Your family comes over, you pour a few things of tea. Oh, look, they got the biscuits. Oh, it's the bourbon. Blah 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 blah. You know, and they bust them all out. It wasn't this little secret thing that you did in your own evening, like away from everyone else.
It's the same thing with drinks. It's like, oh, listen, you bring over a bottle of whiskey to your friend's house. Let's sit there, let's have a few drinks, and all of a sudden you're sitting at home with the bottle of whiskey. It's just you and the whiskey. It's like, yeah, listen, every once in a while it's fine. You know, a wee Saturday night to yourself, you know, it might be cool, but if it becomes, you know, an every daily thing, it's a problem for obvious reasons. Right, I literally got 51 seconds. I'm leading this class. I love yous. I'll leave yous. If you like this podcast, guys, please give it a listen. Or if you like this podcast, please make sure you subscribe so you get notifications as to when we release a new one. But also, I'd really ask that you tell your friends about it. If you find it helpful, you know somebody's trying to lose weight or trying to better their health, word of mouth is one of the best things that you can do to spread the podcast. So yeah, thanks so much.
Peace.